going? Kevin Clear here with a knife video for you. I've got a couple of Riot built knives here to serve as an introduction to the knife I actually want to talk about. This is not a new knife, but it's one that a number of you have asked me about. So let me just share with you these two knives, why I have them here. So this is the Todd Bagg Steelcraft Bodega, built by Riot, designed by Todd Bagg. Completely beautiful knife, and this really demonstrates the capacity that Riot has for just amazing finishing and detail. And you know, this is just a really, really wonderful knife. This is another knife built by Riot that holds a special place in my collection as one of my all-time very favorite knives, and certainly it's a standard bearer for me in terms of what a high-end knife should be. This one just checks all the boxes. It's got all the features. It's dialed in. Everything is just the way I would want it. And this is a real, you know, for me, when I get in on my channel or when someone, you know, shares with me a high-end knife, in my mind, I'm comparing it to this knife. So I just wanted to put those two out there by way of introduction. This is the knife that I actually want to talk with you guys about. This is the Reate Jack. Really, really impressive. Now, this knife has been around for a while, so I'm not breaking any new ground here. A number of guys have already talked about it. There's not much, though, out there on the bronze. Let me move these guys out of the way and make a little room for this one. And now, before I get into my full discussion about this, this is not my review. This is just sort of an overview to share a little bit on the details of this knife and the background why I ended up purchasing this one. Before I do that, I want to do a couple of quick things. First, I want to shout out Canadian Knife and Gear. If you're watching this, if you're into knives and you're not a jerk, go over there and sign up. Canadian Knife and Gear is definitely about the best gear community that I participate in. And I participated in a few different ones, but over there, there's very little stupidity, okay? And when there is, you know, it usually gets dealt with and you don't see it a whole lot. So it's just a great community of like-minded guys who like gear and like to share about gear. And unlike some of the other places where you can go to do that, you don't have to like the right thing. You don't have to dislike the wrong, you know, you're not going to get scolded by that community very often for the kind of thing that you like or dislike, right? And so I just find it's one of the healthiest, most well-rounded knife communities out there. It's got a good mix of really experienced guys and really new guys who are just getting into things. And it's a great site. So if you're not a member, go and join Canadian Knife and Gear. Even if you're not Canadian, you're welcome over there. As I say, as long as you're not an idiot who's going to sort of diminish the overall atmosphere of that really cool community. So that's number one. Number two, I've been sharing on Instagram a little, you know, I rather enjoy it, and I'm going to offer feedback on it as I go through some videos in the future. But what I've been doing the last couple of days, maybe last couple of weeks, is sharing a couple of different knives. And I'll take a picture of two knives and ask the question, if you had to carry one of these for the next week and you couldn't carry anything else, which would you pick? All right. And I'm getting some really interesting feedback on those posts. I'm going to continue to do that. So if you want to participate in that, go over and follow me on Instagram and weigh in the comment sections telling me which one you would carry and why. And for today, I'm actually going to post all three of these knives and ask that question. If you had to carry one for the whole week, which one would you pick? And so look for that picture coming up today. And I'd love to hear your comments there, or put your comment on this video as well. You know, go ahead and do both. Okay, so those are the two things I wanted to get out of the way. Oh, wait, one last thing. Let me move these out because I am going to start to focus on the Jack here in a second. So let me say one more thing. Nick Shabazz had a great video that I really enjoyed called "If I Had a Billionaire's Credit Card." And he went through a bunch of knives and watches and other stuff that he would buy if he had a billionaire's credit card. And I started thinking about what I would do. And it kind of got me going, I really need to make a video about this. And then I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool, you know, now I know what Nick would buy if he had a billionaire's credit card. Wouldn't it be cool to see what, you know, Dr. Frunky would buy, or what Advanced Knife Brother would buy, or what, you know, Epic Snuggle Bunny, or Slicey Dicey, or Zell, or, you know, all kinds of different guys. So if you're watching this and you're a YouTuber, I would love to see you make a video. And I'm thinking about this. I'm populating my list. So it'll probably take me a week or two before I actually get to making a video about this. But I would love to see you guys, or anyone, you know, put down in the comments below the 10 items you would buy, gear items. Okay, let's not get into cars and boats and houses and all that. But which knives, watches, guns, you know, pry tools, whatever else, you know, or whatever EDC stuff you would buy if you had unlimited resources, just had a billionaire's credit card and he said, hey, go to town, buy whatever you want. So I'd love to see that. Comment down below. Know that I'm working on that for a video coming up. And if you're a YouTuber watching, I would love to see you go out and do that. And maybe I'll even send some messages to a couple of YouTubers, because I'm really curious to see what various people would pick along those lines. Maybe this knife is even on your list, although I doubt it. Most people, you know, are going to jump past the $400 knives and go right to the $4,000 knives, I bet. Okay, so now we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this very, very impressive Riot knife, the Jack. First off, let me say, this is a large knife, a very large knife. They've done it in two finishes, or two sort of inlay options. I went with the brass because I just love the way the brass and the blue titanium look together. And I will say, when I was deciding which one of these to buy, oh man, I went back and forth, back and forth. I looked at, you know, I pretty quickly decided that I wanted the brass. I just like that look, but I did go back and forth a lot between the blue and the steel flame, and I just found I like the way the blue interacts with the brass the most, okay? So that's kind of the background here. That's how I ended up with this particular one. I just love that contrast that's created. And this is a knife that really, really stands out. I have to tell you, actually, I'll save that for the conclusion. But yeah, this is a knife that stands out. It's a knife that you buy for its beauty, for its machining prowess, for its features. It's not really a knife you buy because you want something to go and, you know, survive in the woods or something like that. All right, so first off, let me say, this is a huge knife. This is a big one, guys. Not as big as, you know, some of the crazy big cold steels, but it weighs more than most of them, okay? So this knife is 9¼ inches overall. It weighs 10½ ounces. Okay, so this is a heavy knife. About the only thing I have in my collection that is similar is going to be the Cold Steel Formax. Now this does carry a little better than the Formax because it's smaller in the handle size, but it's a big knife, okay? 4 inches of blade, 5¼ inches on the handle, and again, over 10 ounces. All right, this guy is a beast. If you know, if you're one of those guys who likes to work out, you could almost use this as a dumbbell. It's pretty heavy. That said, that doesn't put me off of this knife at all. Okay, because for me, and I dare say for most people, right, I don't think there's that many people out there buying a Reate Jack to be their everyday carry knife. I think most people who are buying this are buying it for the features, they're buying it for the cool factor, they're buying it for the design, and I really had to weigh this out. I knew it was heavy, but honestly, I said to myself, you know, yeah, the carbon fiber would be easier to carry around, but if you don't love it as much, if it doesn't really just pop to you, then that diminishes the knife. I'd rather have the one that I just look at and go, wow, that's amazing. And yeah, it's a little heavy, but I'm not going to carry it anyway and every day anyway. It's not a knife that's even really designed to be an EDC. And so, you know, for me, it made sense to go with the one that I thought was the most interesting and the most attractive. And that was, of course, the brass. So that's my initial reaction to the weight. All right, now let me work my way through some of the cool features here, because this is a knife that I really think is about what is possible in the high-end knife market these days, and really at a price that is not that crazy. Okay, so these go for, I think, $450 pretty well everywhere these days. You might find one a little cheaper, or you might find one on the secondary market, and that's probably what most people, you know, often with high-end knives like this, that's what I try to do, is find one on the secondary market. This particular one came from White Mountain Knives, and Justin was really good over there to send this off to me. And I will say, if you want one, there are, I think, some left. Maybe not this exact color variant, but he does have some Jacks over there, and he has a pretty good price on them. So that's a good place to go. And you'll get 10% off if you use my discount code SHARPSTUFF. All right, now, let's work through the features. I kind of got distracted there. So look at this blade, M390, really, really attractive grinder satin finish. Of course, the multi-direction, so the grind lines are going up and down on the, I guess, sort of vertical on the bevels and horizontal on the flats, depending on how you're holding the knife, I realize. But absolutely beautiful knife, blade in M390. Nice finger choil, a couple of sort of swales here cut into the blade that allow you to really choke up if you want to. And I actually have choked up and done this a bit. So I used this for just a little bit of food prep the other day. And of course it worked quite well. You've got tons, like it's huge, right? So it's almost like a kitchen knife. You can do a lot of work with it. The action on this is very, very nice, which of course would be expected. A knife at this price point, it better have nice action. This does have dual row ceramic bearings. Very nicely dialed in detent, and of course it's a flipper only. And wow, is it nice. It flips really, really well. It drops shut just the way you want it to. You know, I like knives that have just a hair of friction. I don't want it to just drop like a guillotine. I want it to just have that very hydraulic feel. And this one really, really feels amazing. And of course, that's because dual row ceramic bearings are fantastic. Second, maybe only to, you know, needle bearings in a Shirogorov or something like that. So just stellar action, exactly what you would want from a knife of this price point. Moving on, of course, the big deal about this knife is that it's an integral. So that means this is milled from one piece of titanium, and that is truly impressive. You can look in there, right? You can see this is really, really cool. Now I've had a couple of other integrals, and I will say this, guys. I don't think integral construction is necessary, okay? Yes, it's cool. Yes, it's impressive, but it's a luxury feature, okay? It is in no way needed on a knife. But this one, they've done it really, really well. And I really like even that extra little touch of milling on the back spine there. So we have ceramic bearings on the pivot here. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't come up with that word pivot. Of course, stainless steel lock bar insert, which is basically what you'd expect in this sort of liner-ish lock knife. We've got these brass overlays on the titanium frame. And so it's sort of a, you know, it's kind of a frame lock, but it's really, I guess, sort of a liner lock as well. An integral kind of puts it in a different category all on its own, but very, very impressive the way this is built. Nice little relief cut there. Beautiful brass. The interface here is really nicely done. Okay, so very, very smooth. Feels fantastic in hand. And we haven't mentioned yet those Damasteel pivot collars. So cool. Now, I've got to say, all of those things are the real reason that I bought this knife. Okay, this is not, I think, the knife that I would recommend for your practical EDC purposes. This is not the knife that I would recommend for, you know, even getting into, you know, do you want, what's your first high-end knife going to be, or to experience, let's say, some really high-end features. There are tons of knives that work really well for that. This is something that you purchase for the wow factor, and there's a lot of wow factor here. In fact, I will say this is the knife that I've gotten the biggest and best reactions out of from various people who know I carry knives. So there's a few people, I'm sure if you're a knife guy, there are people that you run into on a regular basis that really want to know, what are you carrying today? What's it look like? Can I check it out? And this is a knife that when people have said, hey, can I check out the knife you're carrying? They're just like, whoa, this is amazing. How, you know, and they just go on and on and on. Like, this is a truly impressive knife. And I think that's why most people would buy it. And certainly that's why I bought it. And so that's where I think this fits. My overall thoughts on this is, yeah, this is a wow factor knife. It's got amazing features, amazing looks, amazing performance. Now, yeah, it's not entirely carryable. This is not the lightest, easiest to carry knife in the world, but it is totally awesome. And that's why I want it. That's why I'm super excited to have it. I will carry this. I will use it. I will come up with a full review at some point in the not too distant future. So look forward to that. Again, I'd love to hear comments down below. I'd love to hear your comments, especially about the three of these knives, right? I asked about that. I'd love to hear the comments about what you would buy if you had a billionaire's credit card. And otherwise, don't forget to like, subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching. We will talk to you soon.